All right, I'm sure you all have questions, and maybe today I'll have people to answer everybody's question. That would be good. Let me tell you a little about my background in Buffy, so that will help prompt some questions and maybe some interesting stories. I went in originally to audition for Flutie, for Principal Flutie. Now, at that time, I was already on Star Trek, so know exactly why I was there, but because Star Trek was a full-time job for me. But I went in and read for Flutie, and I did okay. I met Joss, and there probably were some other people in the room. It was a rather quick audition, and I didn't think it had gone all that well. So I left the audition room, and I'm walking down this hallway with offices on them, like any other hallway of offices you've ever seen. And I'm thinking about how good or how bad the audition was. And as I pass one particular room, I just glance in, and there's a cardboard cutout, a life-size cardboard cutout of Michael Dorn as Worf, and of Nana Visitor as Kira from Deep Space Nine. And I went by and I looked at it, and I went back, and I knocked on the door. I knew they didn't know who I was, and I just said, "Why don't you have me in here?" And I started to talk to them for about 2 or 3 minutes, and it was just simple talk. It was just small talk. And then I left and went back to my car. I didn't get Flutie, obviously. Ken got it. A good friend of mine, Ken Lerner. And then several months later, they called and said, "We'd like to offer you the role of Snyder." And to this day, I don't know whether it was the audition I gave in the room, because I auditioned for Flutie the same way I played Snyder. And I don't know if it was the audition in the room or whether it was that chat with, it turned out to be the writers, whether that was what prompted the being cast. The other thing was that Joss assured me that, thank you, that's great, that's lovely, that'll help me wake up. Joss assured me that they were going to kill off principals on a regular basis. And that I wouldn't be there for very long. So I lasted for 3 years, and I just kept thinking, they must have forgotten to kill me. But I think the reason I stayed as long as I did, and this is how things work in Hollywood, it's amazing. When people tell you it's about luck, it's about luck. The talent, of course, counts, but luck really is the difference between night and day. So here's my lucky story. We were shooting a puppet show. My first introduction of the character to the series. And I come from backstage, I make an entrance from backstage onto the stage. And as we finished lighting and began to shoot, I began to hear all this buzz, this sort of whispered talk, as I was doing the shot, which is very strange because when you shoot a shot, it has to be deadly quiet so that you can hear the actor. And but they were all, I could hear them backstage. I thought, what is this all about? They stopped, and I asked them, what's that? Was I doing something wrong? They said, no, come here, we're going to play back what we just shot. And so they played it back, and on the wall behind me, which they had not planned, but on the wall behind me, the shadow that I left on the wall was of these very large Neferatu ears. My ears are large to begin with, that's how I got Star Trek. And so I think that's another reason why they didn't kill me off. But the irony of ironies, one last story, then I'll take your questions. You know my relationship to Summers. And on camera, we weren't particularly friendly. But off camera, we were. And at the end of the shooting of the series, Snyder's been dead for years now. I get a phone call from the Buffy office saying, will you come down to the set and have a picture taken with the cast and crew for their last day of shooting? And I said, sure, absolutely, I'd be honored to do that. And I assumed, because as you know, there were hundreds of recurring characters on Buffy, that there would be hundreds of actors there, and it was going to be a rather large event. So I got there a little bit early, and they were a little late, so they put us in a room. There were only 4 of us. It was myself, Christine, who played Buffy's mom, one of the 3 nerd guys, I don't remember his name. And as it turned out, the 4th one wasn't an actor at all, but was the director of photography who had left the show to go on to be a director. And I've forgotten his name as well. And we chatted, and I sort of scratched my head and thought, where's everybody else? And we took the shot. It was good to see everybody. I was walking back to my car. Joss Whedon happened to be walking right next to me. And I said, I asked Joss the question I just posed to you. I said, where was everybody else? And he smiled in his very meek, sort of wonderful way. And he said, Armin, you're the only 4 people that all of us liked. So I had a very, very good relationship with the actors and the crew of Buffy, even though I was quite miserable, right? I was an incredible asshole on camera. And in fact, that's my last story, which is in Puppet Show, our first shot, as you know, we shoot out a sequence when we shoot a TV show. And my first shot is me coming down the aisle of an auditorium with Giles. And I wasn't quite sure how I was going to play this character because I hadn't auditioned for it. They just offered it to me. And I saw Nick and Sarah primarily, and Allison, who were very young, really young. And they had told me that Sarah had been a soap opera actress before she did Buffy. And that, there's a lot of prejudice attached to that, being a soap opera actress. And so I thought she was going to be a diva. And so my attitude was, okay, I'll deal with this diva. And that's where Snyder came from. All right, enough about me. Can I take some questions? It doesn't have to be about me, it can be about any of the characters if I can answer them, or any of the backstage stuff if I can answer it, yes.
How did you juggle the 2?
How did I juggle? That's a very good question. Because I had 2 line producers. Line producers are responsible for scheduling. I had 2 line producers on both shows, one on each show, who were very fond of each other after a while. And they went out of their way not only to help me, but I think to help each other. And it is incredible how they juggled my schedule. I mean, there's at least 3 times during the course of 3 years that I went to Star Trek at 4:30 in the morning. This happened certainly during banking. I went at 4:30 in the morning, was made up to be Quark, which takes 2 hours. Got out of makeup at about 12:30 in the afternoon. Got in my car, drove to Torrance, which is a good hour's drive from Paramount to Torrance, which is where the high school was. And then shot certainly band candy until 2 in the morning. That happened at least 3 times. And they were very, very good about making sure I worked for both of them. And I think it's thanks to my Star Trek line producer that I was able to stay on Buffy for as long as I could, because he didn't make any bones about having to have me. Because my contract with Paramount for Star Trek said that I could only do 3 other episodes per year of anything. So I did about 5 or 6 episodes of Buffy each year. So I broke my contract, but they didn't seem to have any problem with it. And as it is, I did other shows besides Buffy as well. So,